Hello, beautiful friends. It's your girl, Leanne. I'm recording about me, and I want to record it rawly. I want to record it from um, how I can offer you a place in a state where borrowed knowledge and unborrowed knowledge is a living, breathing truth with the art of witnessing. Where did this all start for me? So I'm born in Nova Scotia, and as a child, I lived there for about 8 years and went to Ontario in 1986 with a change of location for jobs for my father. And so my childhood was partially East Coast to Central Canada. And then at age 19, I came out to BC. So I've been all across Canada with many, many, many life lessons. What am I here to talk about in this discourse, in this reflection with you, is a little bit about my journey with yoga and how Shiva Shakti Yoga all came about. So as a child, our family are Campbells, and our journey with the body and family life was eat, drink, and be merry philosophy. The East Coast is very warm, full of very vibrant Celtic background, big families, Catholic born, and the beauty of that culture is that everybody sticks together, everybody has their open doors to see each other, and so much love. There's so much love there. And then as a child, we left that surroundings to go to Ontario, where the world was multicultural, very different, very big, very shocking, and separate from our family. So my journey as a child was, humbled with a lot of family, and then it led to away from family and learning so much more within cultures and reality with the functioning minds of my parents. As my parents are growing to learn about each other during that process, there's obviously fluctuations in family life, like reflectively all families go through different temperaments of different aspects in the relationship with my parents, and different traumas and joys to share and grow and learn. As a teenager, I had accumulated too much weight from those philosophies, from the lifestyle, from the changes, from my own personal journey of laziness. And being in a family of 5 siblings, probably a lot of lack of attention because of how big our family was, and maintaining that as an individual. So at a young age, I was uncomfortable with my body. I decided to change my body, starting with yoga every morning with a video called Total Yoga, and cardio work, some machines that I have at home and the gym, and broadening my journey with physical fitness at that time. So that was about around 1994. And the reason why I go back to my self-discovery with yoga or sharing Shiva Shakti Yoga, because it all pertains to my journey within me of how yoga totally changed my life and how it shows up throughout my life to help me, to serve me, and to serve others. So practically speaking, when I talk about borrowed knowledge, I learned this from my Zen master about our life experience. And those experiences that we're experiencing have more power than the power outside of us that we are not experiencing. So when I talk about borrowed knowledge, I talk about things that are not of our experience, that is just information, and that is just truths for everybody outside of us, and knowledge. But the true knowledge of ourselves comes from checking in, turning in, and seeing what we're growing in every day within ourselves, outside and inside, internally. So my personal journey with connecting with yoga was a beautiful method to help me relax more, help me to stretch my body when I was doing my physical fitness exercise, my strength training, or my cardio. And slowly but surely, from the time I was working on myself, unknowingly, I was recognizing its importance. So physical fitness helps us because we create more oxygen in our body. Movement creates more happiness. And then our stagnant mind is not so much in control of us, but we're in control of it through movement. But what I recognized over the years, and probably the The other finer aspects that yoga gave me that strength training didn't give me was a spiritual connection to my soul. And why I stress on the beauty of Shiva Shakti yoga and its importance to where I am now, 30 years later, that's been a spiritual evolution of recognizing during these times of growth in my life with reality, with family life, and with my internal awakening. So 1994 to about 1998, there was a huge timeline in there where I came to learn more about the benefits of my lifestyle that I was offering myself and the energy that I was spending a lot of time alone with. And from there, the curiosity to study ancient wisdom started to reveal itself to me, and in places with healing, like Zen Shiatsu, Reiki, massage therapies, things like that. And so cluing into how a method helped me, it took time. It generally took time for me to know, because I wasn't born into these ancient teachings from a religious point of view. Because in India, you can see spiritually, yoga is a whole lifestyle. It's rooted in the dharmas of lifestyle, the thought processes, a whole other cultural experience. And then living in the West, I was exposed to it as a root and a foundation to keeping me happy. It really was. Other than the physical fitness and other than being who I was as a jolly human, there was still something very fine happening along this journey. And this is a reason why I'm sharing these videos and sharing my story, because anybody who's on the spiritual path with enlightenment or ascension or awakening, practice these methodologies also because there is much more happening as we mature in these methodologies. And so this is why I'm talking and I'm sharing, because I believe in the vision that I have through these years and my life story, to share that, to reflect that, and to offer it to people that meet me. So from 1994 to about 1998, there was a maturity with the rising of consciousness in me from these practices like yoga. And then there was a maturity with life, that life was pushing and pulling me into different directions with life, love, and the needs of family life, and the normal human interactions. So while on my journey with love and being a teenager with love, I came across certain men that also reflected great wisdoms. I had energetic exchange of energy. I started to have more receptivity, which is basically our receptors in our body is our cells. And whenever we come into an exchange with anybody, we can feel what's going on, whether it's good or bad. And so receptivity is how we're having energy exchange in every moment, whether it's for business, whether it's for spirituality, whether it's for family life in any way. We're receptive to the conditioning of thought patterns that create each moment with us. So I started to have receptivity through love. We're all having receptivity through love, how we feel when we interact with people. And if that candlelight of love is lit within us, and what does that truly mean? So I started having my teenage love affairs and connecting, and I had connected with a family friend that had been doing a lot of Kung Fu, Qigong, Tantra, yoga, healing, Reiki, and different mastery himself, which I started to get affected by certain people that were doing other practices outside the traditional Western medicine. And they were all mostly Eastern medicine. I was already exposed to Eastern medicine with yoga helping my physical body, but I wasn't going so deep into the knowledge or the lifestyle of it. My sister during that time had been doing some discovering with philosophy, and she was studying Hinduism and just psychology in general, anything that's out there spiritually. She was spending her time with angels. We grew up with angel mentality because being born Catholic and believing in the angels and believing in Jesus and Mother Mary. And my exposure was at that point that way. But there was something from doing all the yoga and changing my body from a size 16 to a size 8 that I knew was offering me another door of learning and unlearning. My first exposure to that was having a Zen Shiatsu therapy done by a beautiful woman that was offered to me from a Tibetan Buddhist temple in Toronto. So I started to have these openings where, as a child, being a Roman Catholic, there was nothing else we were supposed to have faith in other than Jesus and the Trinity, and being surrendered fully to Catholicism. My soul and my body, from doing yoga, it was more open, and I was receptive to the mystery schools of life. And so these doors started to open even more when I got my first therapy with Zen Shiatsu. My childhood traumas, my childhood hardships in family life, they started to get healed. And I knew there was something there that was right for me. Quiet, colorful, beautiful, deep, and mysterious. And that was with Tibet. So my journey with Tibet started by going to a Tibetan Buddhist temple, then getting Zen Shiatsu therapy and healing and Reiki, which started to open up even more doors for me in sensitivity and receptivity, but I didn't have the knowledge. I came out to BC further to visit that relationship that I had connected with, where he was doing a lot of work on himself with modalities like Qigong, Reiki, Master Kung Fu, and Tantra. He was very open. So being receptive to having a relationship like that and connecting with another human on that level, that opened up even more doors for me into an unknown timeline that I ventured in leaving home at the age of 19. So I came out to visit a friend, a love, and we're all chasing love. So I came out to chase some love in my life into BC. I found myself in a place where I didn't want to leave. I wanted to come here. I wanted to be here. And the experience I had was profoundly pure. The pure observation of being at the right age, making enough money, working in the field of hairdressing, to come out to a place which had mountains in view, which probably I was missing from my childhood in Nova Scotia, having the ocean and having Mother Nature so close to home, and then living in Ontario from age 8 until 19. There was something that BC did for me. It brought me a little bit of Nova Scotia. It brought me the modernness of Ontario. And then it brought me the spirituality and the venture and the adventure of a quest of the unknown and the mystery schools. So that wisdom and knowledge had opened up in me at that time. And it was a beautiful venture for me to really feel like, a calmness in me. By studying Tibet at that time, there was a calmness in me. I was still doing my yoga, so there was a calmness. And then there was a magnificent energy I knew that was holding me. Because the venture I came out to be with for 2 weeks of love didn't end up being in my life, but I ended up coming back into BC to find a new part of me. So I came out to BC, and that relationship didn't work, but there was no regrets, because it was a quest for love, not to own love, but by being purchased by love. And then I went through my journey with self-love and knowledge, and what they call in India, gyan. I had a journey with that. So here's how the next chapter happened for me with my journey with why yoga. Why yoga? Because I started to see actually how a methodology that was designed, the way it was designed, was helping me, even though I didn't understand the science to it. So in about 1999, that would have made it about 5 years of practicing yoga at that time. And my receptivity was opening, my sensitivities were opening. The ancient wisdoms were trying to open their doors to me that I didn't know about, that I wasn't exposed to as a child, but were predominantly the loudest noise calling me and my soul. Other than the workforce, other than university, other than all the other knowledge that we can accumulate in this life, I had a natural tendency of finding pillars in my life, which were spiritual awakenings. And that's where I found my happiness. That's where I found my contentment, with either love or spirituality. So moving through those years and coming out to BC, being on my own, there was a significant amount of serendipities of things just happening for me more rapidly when I was out in BC. And I think that was just natural because I started to find my own personal power with believing in what I loved, what I was looking for, or what was seeking me. Like Rumi says, whatever is seeking you is whatever we're seeking is seeking us. So whatever has been seeking me with truth, I've taken a journey in the last 30 years to be a part of it with good and bad. Because obviously the love affair that I came out to be with, that didn't work out. So that's not really a good thing for a young woman. But the good thing about it, the power and the awakening that was calling my soul, it stayed. And it's always been staying there. So that's why I stress on why yoga. Why yoga through all of my journey? Why yoga in many aspects of yoga? Because yoga is not just the physical exercise. Yoga, according to Patanjali's theories, is 8 limbs, where it's a whole full lifestyle that creates the soul connection with the body mind and makes us beautiful, loving, truthful, honest humans. Basically what I was learning in my childhood with Christianity, but something that was happening through an exercise. And so that's what I found was quite interesting over the years, was the natural calling to my soul from an ancient method. And then the experiencing of all the masters and the divine Godhead behind it all. So that's another 30 years of a lot of work with many masters. I wanted to shed light on my why yoga, why Shiva Shakti yoga in this video, so that you could have a journey with me on how it's worked for me, how it's helped me, and how I've learned to master my mind with techniques that help me to be a more multidimensional, loving human being. So that's my first video. This will be a wrap. I'll talk in the next video more about the details of the 8 limbs of yoga and how they've had such a great effect on my life and how they can benefit yours when you're practicing your daily sadhana. Namaste.